So in the last videos I was trying to explain the difference between asynchronous and synchronous and the syntax or the coding that is done to perform asynchronous programming. I tried to explain all that stuff. From here we'll see the asynchronous programming and what is the approach we have in Angular, what are the libraries we'll be using, all that stuff we'll see. So one single definition of what asynchronous programming is: you can get the execution of code without making any other line of code in wait. So before we move on to the asynchronous part, let us have a basic understanding of reactive programming. Reactive programming is to receive the asynchronous data streams. So you keep on receiving data like a click, a keyboard event, a click event. You'll be receiving all this data asynchronously. Subscribe to the asynchronous data streams, and you need to receive the information that is being sent or the data stream that is being sent, and to receive that you need to subscribe and then react to those asynchronous data streams. A stream is an ongoing events or technically observables. So when I say a stream, you can remember it as observables happened in a time period that are received to all the subscriptions. So a data or a continuous data passage like the click events, which is an ongoing event. I can click n number of times. All this is I'm passing data to the browser or to the server, but a client is passing data when he is continuously clicking. So this is a stream, this is an ongoing event stream, and you call it as observables, happened in a time period, that are received to all the subscriptions. So only those who have done the subscription, only those will receive these events. During this time there are only three possible ways to react, or technically observers: data, error and completion. So data is the click event. If any mistake goes, then it is the error, and once I stop performing the click events, it is a completion. So apart from these three possible ways or these three things, there is no other possibility. And these observables, subscriptions and observers are very important. Technical terms, we'll be using them. The emitted events or observables, the event or something that happens is an observable, are captured asynchronously by defining observers or technically functions. So you do asynchronous functions for the events that are happening, and you receive them in these functions, which are observers, that consumes the observables or gets executed based on the above possibilities. So when an event happens, the data that is being passed from this event are received by these observers or functions, which these functions consumes these observables or gets executed based on the possibilities. The functions could be a data receiving function, an error receiving function and a completion function. Any three possible, any three functions. Higher priority is given for data, and the two other, that is error and completion possibilities, are ignored, because if you see the click event, you can never predict when it can complete. So this method is of no meaning when you want to subscribe to the click events that are happening on the client part. You never know when the completion will happen, and chances are very less for an error to occur if it is a simple click event. But I don't say we never use these. They are used. We'll also see some examples wherein we'll see how to handle the errors. And the most important thing is data. Reactive programming is also to take a decision on an asynchronous data stream, like passing the stream as an input, merge two streams, filter a stream or to receive only the interested ones, map data to a stream to another stream. So there are certain decisions or actions that can be done on the asynchronous data stream. When you receive something, you can assign the received thing to another one, that is using map, or you can filter. You are not interested in everything that you receive, you are interested in only very minor or very few things that you might be interested, then you'll use filter. All these are reactive programming. So the reactive programming or reactive extensions is an API for asynchronous programming using observables, and RxJS is an implementation of reactive extensions. So we'll be using this library, which is an implementation of the reactive extensions API. Angular uses this API implementation to achieve the asynchronous event streams using observables, observers, subjects. All this we'll be seeing in the coming lessons. Now to install RxJS in an Angular app, use npm install RxJS and import observable from RxJS. So if you open the package.json, RxJS, so you say npm install RxJS and you'll be seeing that in the package.json. If you do not have RxJS already installed in your package.json, you can use this command and install RxJS. Once RxJS is installed, then we can use the observables. Let's see what observable, subscription and observer are in a definition wise, and then we'll have an example using them. Angular uses observables to implement asynchronous programming events like component communication through subjects, HTTP request methods, HTTP clients and router. So you'll be seeing the usage of observables in these three ways in Angular. Observables produce or pass a stream of values using push model. So your observables will pass a stream of values from the creator or publisher to only those observers that have a subscription done to observables. This will implement in detail. Observables are defined in a function to publish data but is not executed until another function subscribes to it. Observables can be created in two ways, and you need to import observable from RxJS. So you see, you can create an observable using observable.create, or you say new observable. Once an observable is created, a function needs to subscribe to this observable. So this is important. The subscribed function has three observers or methods. So we'll see all the steps in detail in programming way. I'll be using const my observable and I'll say new observable, and this is quite simple to understand for those who are coming from C# and Java background. When you say new observable, you create an instance of observable and you are importing it from RxJS. RxJS is the library, reactive extensions library, and you need to install this library using npm install RxJS. You can install a particular version by saying @ a version number. Now observable, so we have created an observable using new observable. We have done using this. Now observables are defined in a function to publish data that is not executed until another function subscribes to it. So this we'll see now. In here you can say observer some variable and you use the arrow operator and then write a function. So observables are defined in a function to publish data. I need to publish some data, and this I say observer dot next, a method. Using this I can publish some data, like I say 10. But what is the case? Publish data, but is not executed until another function subscribes to it. So I need to subscribe, do the subscription, and that subscription is possible by when I say my observable dot subscribe. So this part is very important. I receive the result, I say res, use an arrow operator, and this you can put it in brackets as well. Now here comes the function. Okay, so this is a function. I do not have a name actually, but I have a list of argument, that is only one, and this is the function block in which I'll say console log. Let us see what res is, comma res, and I'll save this. And if you see the output, res is 10. So if you do not subscribe, then there is nothing. Okay, so this subscription is required, and also because this is one single line of code, I can remove these brackets and I can have them like this. That's it, because one single line of code. It's a same thing you see again, res colon 10. So there is still something that can be explained in this. Once an observable is created, a function needs to subscribe to this observable. This is what I've done. I've subscribed to this observable that was created. This subscribed function has 3 observers. So in this subscribe method I can have 3 observers. This is the first one, the data part, and then sorry again for that, and then the next one is you use comma and say error, and again this is treated as an argument, and because it's only one, you use something like this and say console log error, comma error, and the last one is the completion, which doesn't take any argument, and so I open and close the bracket and say console log completed. So this is what I'm trying to explain. Once an observable is created, a function needs to subscribe to this observable. The subscribed function has 3 observers or methods. These are the 3 observers that I've written. Observable.subscribe, and then your result if an error happens and if it gets completed. Now if I save it, you see res is 10, and if I pass in an error, occurred, you see error also received, and observe dot complete, and then oh, I didn't write anything completed because an error occurred, you didn't come to the completion. If I comment this out and if I save it now, it says completed. So remember, for when you subscribe to an observable, you'll be having 3 things to be written. The important thing is the data that you receive, and an error, if at all an error happens, and the completion. These 2 can be ignored, not covered every time, but at least The error part will be using for error handling. Completed is not well used. Now to further continue this a bit, we are only passing 10 again by using the set interval method. Set interval, I use, and this runs for every 1 second, and in here I'll say observer dot next, and I pass let I equal to 1, and over here if I pass I plus plus, you see what you'll be receiving in RES if I save everything. It is completed actually. Okay, so for every 1 second you receive some data. You are passing some data, and you are receiving this data in over here in the subscribe method. So you need to subscribe to the observable, and observable passes some data. So all this concept are well used in HTTP requests.